presented by Intuit QuickBooks. We're live at NFL Films. The gang is back together.
Hey.
Happy November, gentlemen.
You too.
November 1st. My name's Kay Adams, Kyle Brandt, Peter Schrager, Nate Burleson, all back together.
Feels right. November's here. Past the halfway point of the season now. Stretch run.
I haven't seen you in like 5 days, and so much has changed in the NFL. Golden Tate's now an Eagle. What else?
Browns have a new coach.
Oh, yeah.
New offensive coordinator.
There's that.
I ate about 60 Laffy Taffies last night, if that matters. The banana, I can't stop. It's incredible.
DeAndre Hopkins and Demaryius Thomas are teammates?
Wild.
It's crazy.
DeAndre Hopkins dropped as
Do you
an
read the
avatar.
jokes?
Yeah, of course.
Love it.
I do it for the jokes. Bazooka, too. I love the jokes. The fortunes.
This is our show. We're happy to be back. Keep tweeting the show at #GMFB. We appreciated the tweets while we were gone, of course. And we've got so many amazing matchups to break down. So let's hit it, guys. Time for the...
Le Block, Le Block.
All right, speaking of great matchups, this is a marquee one. Sunday Night Football. Two of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game going head-to-head in Foxborough. With all the latest on this matchup, let's send it over to our very own Mike Giardi.
Well, Kay, we aren't the only ones looking forward to the Packers and Patriots. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady here on Sunday night at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Patriot players were already looking ahead after their Monday night victory over the Bills. They said, look, Rodgers is so impressive when you watch him, and it's what he does when he's not necessarily on time, when he doesn't hit the three-step drop and the slant pattern. It's when he starts dancing around in the pocket and making plays. They said you have to plaster your receivers down the field because it doesn't matter where Rodgers is. Everyone is live. Meanwhile, the Packers head coach Mike McCarthy said, look, if you want to watch quarterback play, if you want to understand how it's done, then Sunday night is appointment television for you. He said he got to be up close and personal with Joe Montana and John Elway back in the 93-94 season. He said this is essentially that. Obviously, Brady is so smart, so intelligent, maybe doesn't have the athleticism that Aaron Rodgers does, but the accuracy and the wins. Nobody has more wins than Tom Brady. Kay, back to you.
Great stuff from Mike Giardi there. We cannot wait for this matchup. And we did this an hour ago with Breeze and Goff, guys. Let's take the quarterbacks off of the table in this one, aside from Rodgers and Brady, who, of course, will have a huge impact on how this goes under the bright lights of Sunday Night Football. Who is the most important player? Who's the guy that's going to dictate how this turns out for both squads?
For the Packers, it's always Aaron Rodgers going deep and having one big play. I'm looking at the Patriots. They're going to need one big play. And I know oftentimes we think of the Patriots offense and we're thinking about Gronk. But for me, Gronk isn't 100%. He doesn't seem like himself. I'm looking at Josh Gordon. I feel like Josh Gordon is going to have that one big play. And it's not going to be in the beginning game where it doesn't matter. I feel like it's going to be blow for blow, blow for blow. As soon as Aaron Rodgers makes that one big play, you're going to look on the other side, and Tom Brady's going to go to his new star wide receiver. So Josh Gordon, who hasn't had that breakout game yet, who hasn't went out there and put up that unbelievable 150-yard, 200-yard game, he's going to have that game this week. I feel like he's just now getting the rhythm, and you got to figure, he still doesn't know the playbook as much as everybody else within that offense. So as we continue to progress in this season, his intelligence in his offense is starting to progress. So I'm going with Josh Gordon for him to have that one big play late in the game that changes everything, that propels these guys to get the victory.
He's had so many plays, but he hasn't had that game-breaking play, and I think that might be the one. Belichick, we know what we're getting. Brady, we know what we're getting. Rodgers, we know what we're getting. Mike McCarthy, I'm looking at you. And I look at Mike McCarthy not as, why hasn't this team been what we thought they'd be, and how do you not find a way to tell Ty Montgomery to stay in the end zone? Look at Mike McCarthy, because the last 2 years, the record is a losing record. I mean, they don't have a winning record the last 2 years. And you look at these, those are the other guys in the NFC. And Ron Rivera has beaten Bill Belichick twice, you know. He's 2-0 against him. Sean Payton, he's 18-7. Doug Peterson's 20-7. This is with the playoffs, of course. Mike McCarthy's 10-12-1. And in the last year, we've seen Dom Capers get fired. We've seen Alex Van Pelt be shown the door. We have seen Ted Thompson move on. We have seen a lot of things. Mike McCarthy, you're 10-12-1, and now you maybe have the most important game of the last 2 seasons for the Packers. Not only is it this Brady and Rodgers matchup, this might be the season for the Packers. The NFC is like a locomotive, and it's going. They've already lost enough games they should have won. Mike McCarthy, find a way and be in that list, because that list right there, that's not just a few games that are better than him. All those NFC coaches are light years better than him the last 2 seasons.
Looking at the Patriots, great point by you. And we know what we're getting in Belichick. We know what we're getting from Tom Brady. I think this game is going to come down to James White, weirdly enough. I feel like he gets so much love from Tom Brady and from Bill Belichick and his teammates, but not really from the national media. Now, people don't really think about James White as this explosive character. I had really big concerns when Sony Michel went down with the injury. What are they going to do in the running game? What are they going to do at the running back spot? He's the safety net. And this guy had 10 catches for 79 yards Monday night against the Buffalo Bills, where the offense struggled a little bit, frankly, without the presence of a guy like Sony Michel. At the halfway point, James White is on pace for 110 catches, over 1,300 total yards,
It's a season.
and 16 total touchdowns.
crazy.
He's on pace for that, and they don't have Sony Michel, so he's going to have to be more active. It's going to be those short passes to sort of keep Rodgers on the bench, and it's going to be James White running the show, I think, in this matchup.
This has been an awesome story for him. He used to just make
Wild.
cameos. He'd show up every month and have a huge game. Now he does it every single week. Sweet feet. We
10
love him.
catches Monday night.
Massive. Aaron Rodgers could play his best game in this, and the Packers still lose. I thought Rodgers was great against the Rams. They still lost. I remember one of the Bulls-Jazz finals. There's this great clip of Phil Jackson, and he's talking to Scotty, and he says, Michael's going to be Michael. It's not time for Michael yet. It's your time. I need you. And sure enough, Pippen goes out and dunks over Greg Ostertag and carries him, and the Bulls win.
Ostertag.
Rodgers can't do it himself. And I'm looking at Davante Adams. I need Davante Adams to have a superstar wide receiver game. And I mean, really, I need him to have the AB, the Odell, the Mike, all those guys. I need that kind of game because Rodgers, I know Rodgers is going to be great. Peter said it. We know what we're going to get for him. I need Davante Adams to have the 180-yard game with the 2 touchdowns, like the blow-up game. And the cool thing is, he has done it before. We're looking at back in 2014 as a rookie against the Patriots in Lambeau. Davante Adams, second-round pick, didn't really know anybody. Massive, massive game. And I believe the intrepid sideline reporter was one P. Striggs in that game. Were you at
I was
that
on the
game?
sideline report. I was
What do
at
you
the
mean?
game. I was covering
What,
the
as a
game.
fan?
I don't get Packers Patriots yet, Kyle.
Did you have a cheese head on, Peter? I thought you were
was a
working the
scribe. I was working
the
it.
scribe.
You
What
said
are you
yeah.
running from that
Wait,
night?
what does that mean you're a scribe?
I was a writer. I was covering the game as a beat writer for FoxSports.com.
Davante scored and he jumped into Schrager's arms in the stands.
I'm not a Tafoya Andrews
Come on,
category.
maybe they
just
got
yet.
sick. Who knows?
But that game was his big coming out party.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I remember Randall Cobb didn't have his best game. Jordy Nelson didn't have his best game. And Aaron Rodgers said Davante stepped up. And for Davante to be the guy, it's huge for me. But now there is no real Jordy Nelson. And we're looking at, Marquez Valdez-Scantling as his guy and Equanimeous St. Brown. Davante needs to have that game.
Yeah.
There's no Rodman. There's no Horace Grant.
There isn't.
You got to be Scott. You got to have
Ty
a massive
Montgomery, they're getting rid of people for Aaron Rodgers, so that puts even more pressure on Rodgers and Davante Adams. The only game this weekend that might steal the thunder a little bit from this marquee Sunday night matchup is, of course, the Rams and the Saints in New Orleans. But the Saints are dealing with some injuries. Their first rounder, Davenport, is injured.
Yeah.
So let's send it over to Jane Slater with more.
Thanks, Kay. I caught up with Marcus Davenport in the locker room on Wednesday, and I can confirm that his right foot is, in fact, in a boot. He tells me it's the right big toe that's banged up, and here's why that big toe is a big deal, according to him and his fellow defensive linemen. You need that toe to push off at the line to win those battles. Now, he did tell me he was able to get work in on the stationary bike, and of course, he completed the game against the Vikings, but he said he did so by playing differently. I asked him if he'd be playing on Sunday or if we could expect him out a month, and he nor the Saints would confirm that month-long timeline laid out by our insider Ian Rappaport. He would just say, and he said this coyly, that they were still seeking additional opinions and trying to figure out the best course of action. If he can't play there, of course, they have Alex Okafor, who has been rotating in and out of that right spot, and they've also got Trey Hendrickson, who is an option as well. Kay, back to you.
Great stuff from Jane Slater. As always, this matchup will see the league's best run game, the Rams and Todd Gurley, taking on the league's best run defense. Now, many people know that is, in fact, the New Orleans Saints. Peter, who has the edge in this matchup?
I go with the Rams. I know the Saints have the statistics, and I know this is in New Orleans, but just Todd Gurley, there's a game plan for Todd Gurley. You have to stop Todd Gurley. For the Rams, they look at the Saints and say, okay, they need to stop us. It's not the other way around. The Saints aren't thinking like, okay, they've got to find a way to stop a guy that has not been stopped all season, Kay. He's got 50 total touchdowns, 52 career games, but 15 touchdowns already this season. 11 running, 4 receiving. And last week, he has that run to ice the game. It's 3rd and 10. They give him the ball. He runs it. They get a first down. The game's over. Afterwards, they said, Todd, how'd you think about doing this? How'd you go down? He says, no. Talk about Tyler Higbee's block. Talk about the block. That's a dream. That is a dream of a player. When he says, don't worry about my run, Tyler Higbee was smashing dudes, and that's how this run game operates. They are 5 offensive linemen, but the tight ends block, the wide receivers block. You look at Josh Reynolds, he was blocking. It's not just Todd Gurley. It's a team effort, and that run game, I don't think it can be stopped, Saints or anyone.
Now, you mentioned that the Saints have the numbers and they have the stats defensively, and they do. There hasn't been a running back this year to rush over 70 yards, averages 3.2 against them. So, of course, that Saints defense is stout, right? But for me, a number that you said about Todd Gurley wasn't the 11 rushing touchdowns. It's the 4 receiving touchdowns. So you can sit there and say, okay, will Todd Gurley have a big rushing game against the Saints on the ground? Maybe not. But my man can catch the ball and have 150 yards in the air. So for me, when you match up Todd Gurley and his skill set versus the Saints rushing defense, they can't keep up with him. Yeah, maybe you do stuff him a couple times. Maybe there even is a few tackles for loss.
Yeah.
But if you got Todd Gurley catching the ball in the backfield, they're one of the best screen teams in the game. And on top of that, he can motion to the outside and run routes up against linebackers and safeties who do not have the hips to stay in front of them. So for me, I have to give the advantage to Todd Gurley and his running mate. And I'm not talking about the guys blocking in front of him or a fullback or the wide receiver. I'm talking about Sean McVay.
Yeah.
That's his best friend within this game because they're going to move him all over the field, and I guarantee he's still going to have himself a big day.
I think Gurley is going to have a huge day, but they're not going to be able to keep up with the Saints. And the reason is the edge lies in the dome. They're playing at home. They're 10-2 at home over the last 2 seasons. That is the best home record in the National Football League in that time. You two have told me and sold me on how scary it is to play in the dome. And Jared Goff struggles a little bit on the road. He's averaging 3 touchdowns a game at home in LA, 1 touchdown a game on the road. His completion percentage is down about 10 points on the road as well. When it comes down to it, playing in the dome, Drew Brees, I think, will outplay him at home.
You know, I think that the Saints are going to win this game, but I think Gurley's going to win this matchup. I'd be crazy to pick against Gurley.
Gurley's
right
going to
now.
have a day.
Gurley comes from the SEC. He's played in every massive stadium in the country. I saw Gurley go up to Seattle, the imposing home field advantage, and destroy them. I'd be an idiot to pick against Todd Gurley right now. The only thing that stops him is the spread. That's it.
But this was a game that we all sort of toyed with as being the game that the Rams lose, right? Because it's very special to be an undefeated team.
The football gods say that teams don't go 16-0. It happened one time, and we know how it ended with David Tyree and everything. I think the Rams are going to lose a game. You just don't. We've seen so many good teams and so many good offenses. They always have a slip-up, and I think at New Orleans is their slip-up. Nate, why you mailing me? Why you mailing me?
Does this feel like that team to you?
They're going 16-0? I hope they do. I'm rooting for it.
They've had those close games where they've won, so, you know, it's like they've been taken to the limit by the Seahawks in Seattle this year. They won. The Packers gave them everything.
No.
They won. The Broncos gave them everything. They won. I know the Saints are a special team, but I would be betraying my own instincts if I say that I think the Saints are beating the Rams this week.
Okay.
Basic
If it was in
instinct.
LA, I'd pick the Rams. Because it's in New Orleans, I'd pick the Saints.
15-1 is nothing to sneeze at. It's a great season.
9-0 is what I'm looking at.
Okay.
We'll talk more about this game of